Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tara Jones-Williamson, and today we're going to be talking about how to hold a conversation with the man. Now, this was another video inspired by a question that I had from somebody from our tribe. Hey girl, hey. So I love asking or answering questions from the community. Like they helped me create videos on topics that I didn't even think people have questions on. And so, one thing about me, I grew up with four brothers, a ton of uncles, a father, a grandfather, brothers that I was close to, male friends, all of that. And then when I was able to date, girl, I stayed with a boyfriend. Fortunately, unfortunately, you know how that goes. So I do know a little bit about relating to the opposite sex, about males. That is not something that I struggle with. And I think that I have a lot of tips and wisdoms to help women be more successful when it comes to relating to men. Not every woman has that ability, and it's something that you develop. And if you don't have a lot of exposure to men, because it's not even men who are you sexually attracted to, a lot of these things are just relating to the male of the opposite sex, and they work whether it's your dad, your uncle, your cousin, or the man that you're married to, right? So let's get into how to hold a conversation with a man. And I love this question. Number one, ask open-ended questions. Now, when I say an open-ended question, that means ask questions to where they can't just say yes or no. So if you're on a date and you're sitting across from each other and you said, oh, what is it that you do? And he said, oh, I'm in tech sales, right? Like I'm in tech, or I'm in IT. Let's use IT, for example. Oh, what is it that you do in IT? Do not say, or well, you can say, oh, do you love it? Or how long you work there? He could say, oh, I've worked there for 7 years. That's the end. That's a period. Do you like it? Yes. But you can say, what made you get into IT? And he can say, well, my dad was always an IT engineer. He was a software engineer. And then you could say, oh, where did he work at? Like, you just flow the conversation and ask open-ended questions. And number two, share like asking open-ended questions versus always sharing about yourself shows that you're interested in the other person. And with males who have a very developed male ego, might I add, we have egos too as women, but not as much. And so for males, they love to talk about themselves. They love to express how they feel. They love to really just big up and impress you with their words and with their history and with their background and their past and what they've done and what they've accomplished. So this conversation, especially the first couple of dates, you want to get them in a space to where they're open and comfortable with you to talk to you about what they've done and they've accomplished. That draws them closer to you. Like, not only, and I'll make another video on that, in order to get a man, or like to get a man wrapped up into you, he has to invest in you financially, because wherever a man's finances go or his investments go, he will stay. Okay, that's why they say it's cheaper to keep her, or why men could be unhappy in marriages and they'll never leave. And that's why statistics say like more women initiate divorce than men, because when they've invested themselves emotionally, physically, mentally, financially into somebody, they're not apt to leave very quickly. Okay. So if you get a guy to open up to you and to express his interests, his background, his passions, some of these things that he don't talk to his guy friends about, that's what keeps him around longer, wanting to date you more and more and more and more. Okay. So ask those open-ended questions, but don't ask it like in an interview. Ask it and make sure your body language, which is number 3, but make sure your body language is on point. And I can get into body language really quick. There's 2 ways, in my opinion, how I did it when I was dating, and I still date my husband, so I still do it. But number 1, there's 2 ways to show like you're interested and you're open with your body language. Number 1 is mirroring. So if you mirror him with your body language, so for example, if he's leaning forward and telling you something exciting, you lean forward, right? So you want to listen. You don't lean back like you don't really care or you're not listening, right? You don't start looking around while he's leaning forward and telling you something that he wants you to know, but he don't necessarily want everybody else around you here. That's not when you lean back and start looking around. and start getting anxious, or, you know, start being self-conscious or being in your head. No, you got to be tuned in and locked in and be like, oh, okay, what is it that you're telling me? And then you continue to ask those open-ended, interesting questions, right? Those follow-up questions, right? And then also, like I just said, maintaining that eye contact, right? Yes, you could be eating, or if you're having drinks, yes, you could be drinking your drink or whatever while you're talking, but just lean in. When he's leaning in, you lean in. Now, when he's like, oh, I'm full, I'm tired, I'm stuffed, you do the same. You lean back, right? You shouldn't be leaned in, being all weird and aggressive and overly assertive if he's relaxing and like the conversation is winding down. You sit back. Your conversation, you should relax a little bit, right? And the second thing is really playing up your femininity during those conversations and those talks. And again, that's kind of nuanced and two-part as well, because a part of it is like, what's interesting to, you got to think about what's interesting to a man when it comes to a woman. Anything that he can't do or he can't accomplish as a man is going to be interesting to him, and is not going to spark competition within him. You kind of have to be careful, because let's say, for example, if he's in IT and you're in IT, and he's been in IT for seven years and you've been in it for 10 years, and he's a software engineer number 2 and you're a software engineer number 4. And again, if you in IT, my sister's in IT, so I know a little bit about this stuff, right? But if that is your thing, I'm looking, do I have, yes, I do. I have lipstick on my teeth. Sorry about that. So what was I saying? Okay, you know, if y'all both are in the same pathway, same career, you don't want to trigger that ego in him and that competition in him by every time he tells a story, or if he shares an accomplishment, you match it at the same time, right? When you play up your femininity, you talk about things that he can't do, he can't accomplish, but it's exciting to hear about, right? So talk about your travels, talk about what you love, talk about your family, talk about your nieces and nephews, talk about what you aspire to be. If you have like a side hustle, or if you love makeup, or if you have a hobby, right? Talk about those things. Yes, you can share with him what you do for a job, but number one, you don't want to come off as if your job is the center of your universe, because whether you have a man or not, it shouldn't be, first of all, especially if you want to play up your femininity. Like, you are a whole woman, a whole person. Your career is just one part of it, right? Your career is just one part of it. So your whole identity and self-worth and everything else should not be wrapped up in what you can do. It's who you are, right? It's what you can create. So it's who you are as a woman. It's not really in your career. And it's coming from a woman who have degrees, who has accolades, who is a financial success coach, and I am in a male-dominated space, and I am a speaker and all of that, but I don't wrap my net worth up in my self-worth, my self-worth up into how much I make, what I can do in my business, and all of that. Like, there's so many facets, that I like to dabble in, and so many, feminine aspects of myself, that I don't need to always focus on the masculine part of myself, which is like what I can achieve, what I can do, what I've accomplished. Like, that doesn't make for good conversation. Those are facts. Those aren't interesting, right? And if you get what I'm saying, let me know in the comments. So when you are conversing with a man, be mindful that you are being interesting and you are sharing things that's not rigid and hard, like what you do, what you've accomplished, how well you did in school. Like, that stuff is cute and it's great, but that's important to you. That's not necessarily important to everybody else. That don't necessarily impress everybody else, right? When me and my girls go out, we are not constantly talking about our accolades, our degrees, what we've done, what we've accomplished. No, we're excited. We're talking about what trips we've been on, what we see in the future, what our kids are up to, what we're excited about. Like, we're talking about worldly things, not just things about ourselves, right? Men don't like that either. Okay? Men don't like that either, especially men, because, girl, they got a male ego. And I keep saying that because, child, the male ego be male egoing. And if you know, you know. But anyway, now the next thing that I'll say is do not overshare. So allow the man to overshare because that's what they like to do. But you don't want to overshare because, again, as a woman, you want to keep that feminine mystery a little bit and keep him coming back and wanting to know more and more and more. Men, they can talk about themselves, and I don't care if it's an introvert, an ambivert, an extrovert. I don't care what type of man he is. You let him talk about himself and you look and sound interested in his ideas, his topics, his past, his accomplishments, what his interests and what he likes to talk about, girl, he'll talk your ear off forever. He will talk your ear off forever, but you don't want to be that as a woman because, number one, their attention spans are much shorter. Number two, they don't care about half the stuff that you're talking about, and so they might become overly bored with the conversation where you're just oversharing too much. So just sprinkle in little stuff about yourself. Just be mindful not to reveal too much at one time. You want to leave like breadcrumbs of who you are, so they'll have to keep taking you out on dates and things like that to get to know you better. All right. And then number 3 is allow natural pauses, right? Oftentimes we feel the need to talk fast and overshare and insert something when there's a natural pause. Feel free to let the conversation flow. Now, in this situation, how I'm talking to you, I am teaching, right? I have my business mode hat on. I have my content creation hat on. I have my talking sister to sister, here's some examples, here's some advice hat on, right? This is not the energy I present if I'm on a date with a man, right? I'm very soft, I'm chilling, I'm matching his energy, I'm matching his body language, I'm letting him talk more, I'm asking questions and follow-ups to show that I'm interested in the conversation. I'm not there to teach and preach. Right? So I don't have this astute, you see, I'm sitting up, I'm talking, my voice is projected. My voice will be much softer if I was talking to my husband, right? When I'm talking to my husband, my voice is much softer. When I'm teaching, my voice is projecting, right? I'm showing emphasis and passion. But when I'm talking to my husband, I'm showing love and I'm showing care and endearment. I'm being fun. I'm smiling, right? When I'm talking to my husband. But when I'm talking to you in this video, I'm not necessarily smiling unless I have something funny that's popping up in my head, right? But I'm really in a teacher mode. So you got to know which mode you're in to know which one you switch into, right? Which one you switching into? What's the energy? What's the vibe? What's the feeling, right? And you got to match that, all right? And so when you create natural pauses or allow natural pauses, not only you can sit there and digest what he was just telling you, but he can do the same. And when there are natural pauses, that is a good time for you to take a drink. That is a good time for you to maybe look around at that point. When he's not talking, you can look around, and if there's decorations or if you're looking at the chandelier or the other people around you and smile at somebody, right? Like that is when you do that. And for me, at least for me, I don't start up the conversation after a natural pause. I allow him to bring up ask the next question. Because again, I don't want it to feel like an interrogation, and you want to feel like you're the one being chased, right? So although you're asking questions once he brings up the topic, you want him to be the one to bring up the topic and initiate a lot of the conversation, because you wanted to make it feel like he's getting to know you. Yes, you're getting to know him, but he's the one he's in your presence. He's in your honor. He's trying to get you, right? That's the energy you have to come with. And so when, there's a natural pause, you can just, smile and stare and look around, get some more food on your fork and eat, that type of thing. And then when he asks you another question, resume the conversation. All right. So let me know if this video helped you or not. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like and share this video. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.